ask you that question. Why are you people like that? Why are you people like that?
Well, let me say good morning to your listeners. Which people? you mean school owners,
Yes.
right? Well, our focus is not mainly on the money. As for that one, I think at my end, we look at stationeries and textbooks first. The things that are needed for the child to begin school. Those are the things that we concern ourselves with before the fees come. So yes, the fees is important, but our focus is not on that.
Well, I guess, so how come, I know that you have bills.
Yeah.
We know that you have bills. Some schools run maybe a 40, 60 sort of school fees implementation, and some schools just want everything in the beginning. And we know you have bills. But how do you think that we can somehow work together to ease that pressure on the parent, especially for parents who have more than one child in the school?
Okay. Well, understand the fact that I'm always going to speak from my perspective and from the perspective of like those I deal with. And from my perspective, there's no way we always wait for parents to give us a plan. That is one thing I do at my end. Wait for a parent to give you a plan. And if the parent doesn't come up with a plan, of course I need the money to be able to run. So if you don't come up with a plan, then I would give you a plan. So it's either that is favorable to you or not. Most times it's not. But if you want it to be favorable to you, then it means you'd have to come up with a plan.
What kind of plans do you accept?
Oh, like, this time we are looking at, this is a new academic year. So you're looking at a lot of bills. People are going to buy new uniforms, new stuff, so there's a lot of bills to pay. Okay, so why don't you make it this way? I'll give you 20%, give me ending of the month, I'll give you this amount, and then if you give me a plan and it's favorable to me, I would accept it. And I think most school owners would go with that. But in most situations, parents never come up with a plan. At my end, there are parents who would not come up with any plan, send their kids to school, and I don't sack kids. So what I do is to call the parents, send letters, one letter upon. There are several times that I've had to drive to homes of parents just for them to come up with a plan. But if it gets to the extreme end, we look for scholarship schemes for the kids. I told you I was working on one this morning. So we go to extreme ends to be able to meet parents in the middle. But you can't do it all.
I get that. Yeah. What do you think about and I know that schools do this to put sort of pressure on the parents, but what do you think about the schools where the kids are taken out of the class? And it used to be done to us growing up. I mean, you call your name at assembly and you go and sit somewhere the whole day and not be in school. I don't know if you guys do it, but even if you don't, what kind of effect do you think that has on the children?
Well, since we started running the school, like myself, my sister and the husband, we have never sacked a child for owing school fees. As I told you, it's been since 2014. When it gets to the extreme, we go out there to look for scholarships for the child. So we have never ever. But in our case, most of the time, let's say you send a letter that you need fees by this time. The parents take that initiative to keep the child at home. They decide that, okay, because I don't have the money, I'll keep my child at home. That is a different thing altogether. There are situations at my end but when you come forward with a problem, there's no way we will turn you away. We'll definitely look at ways to also help you. Before any term ends, there are this new academic year, last academic year, at my end, we send letters telling you what we need, stationeries, textbooks, whatever things, whatever extra materials that when you get for your child, it would make the term successful for us. And it's up to the parent to prepare, because you have a vacation period. You prepare. Most parents would not prepare. We all know things are difficult. As for that one, we all know things are difficult, but they won't get any easy. So you definitely have to prepare.
Well, that's true.
You need to do for the kids, you'd have to do it.
Yeah. Do you remember ever being sent home for school fees? You don't, but you remember some of your other friends.
Yes, they'll come to school. There was this woman, we used to call her school madam. She would come, she'll have a long list, mention names, and then ask them to go home. And I remember there were days when people did not owe but wanted to go with those because it was fun going out of school than staying in school. And those experiences were not nice experiences for me. That is why for myself and the way I run the institution, I don't want any child to be sent home. Yes.
So you think that for most of the kids, they actually enjoy?
Seriously. Because you are not in school to learn. You just go out there and have fun. I remember I went to Santa Maria Junior High School at Kwashiman. We used to have this wache joint. So anytime you are sent home, you go to the wache joint. So like they used to enjoy it. It's like half of the class is out. It didn't make learning effective in the classroom.
Because when they finally come back, you have to kind of start again.
The teacher sort of does nothing. Wait on like a week or two for them to come back before he or she will start something. So that is, those are the things that fed into the kind of philosophy that I ran at my end. Last year, when I started for the first 3 years, what we did was when we give out a bill for the textbooks and stationery that we need for a year, once the term starts, we give every child, and then we now talk to the parents to pay. Because we need learning to go on. And then we realized over time that parents were not paying. So now we had to change strategies. I can't send the children home because I don't want to. Okay, so this year, what did I do? If you send your child, yes, your child will stay in school. But I can't give your child stationeries and textbooks. I don't know how else we can make things work.
Support, yeah.
So yes, we are doing the teaching and we are doing everything. But parents should try to meet us
halfway.
Just come up with a plan. You can't say that your child is going to school and you don't have anything. You'll be surprised at the number of parents who have been to our end to just should I use beg? But it doesn't work that way. It never works that way. If the school needs 2 CDs and you have 50 pesos, that is what I have this. But you can't come and say I have nothing at all. Please. And because we run it over time and we are making losses and we also need to move on. There are teachers, we need to pay them well, we need to do other things, we need to invest, we need to build more classrooms. We are caught up in the web.
So that's one side of the story. No, and I mean I definitely understand and I can relate because you have to. It's just that, being a parent too, we know how difficult it is, especially in these times, with all the layoffs. Yesterday, on the news in the evening, we had a whole host of people who had lost their jobs and bills, and somehow it coincides with the going back to school. So there's so much stress and pressure out there. But we understand you. And thank you to schools like you who are actually, working with the parents and compromising. And we would appeal, to any schools that are listening that, work with us sometimes. Let's do the payment plans. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's reason together because times are hard. So yes, this morning I'm advocating for parents, because times are hard. But let me come to you on the other side because you're a parent and mother of two kids. How has it been for you with reopening?
Okay. Good morning to your listeners. It's not been easy, but for me, luckily, my husband is more or less a planner.
Okay.
He plans for reopening way before they reopen. So what we do normally is that when they reopen school, this is a new academic year, we start saving towards the next term. And especially if it's the beginning of an academic year, the bills are much more. You have to buy school uniforms, bags, stationery, and all that. So we decide a percentage of our salaries or our income, we put them aside just for their school. So that's how we manage it. And so far, I think by the grace of God too, we've never owed a school on reopening. We pay everything even before she enters or he enters school. That's how we've managed it.
Oh, but you pa. Okay,
Come
so
to my school.
so me too. Now let me talk for the parents who don't plan because
That's for mine.
because we it's good to plan ahead and be able to do that. But I mean life happens sometimes. So when you can't plan and when you can't pay everything at the beginning, then
we'll
it
plan for you.
then like Adam
So I think, yeah, exactly. So I've never heard of anything like plan with a school before. It's the first time I'm hearing. I think it's a very good initiative.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, you just have to come up to them, to the authorities of the school. Okay, I have this amount of money. You can even make it a standing order, I think, so that you don't have to worry about actually going to pay in if something like that can happen. So they just debit from your account straight away if you have something like that. So like he said, things are not going to get any easier. We just have to put in all these, like we plan for our rent.
Yes.
The same way I think we should plan for our kids,
Our
because we
kids.
can't do anything about it.
No, we can't.
And you know the interesting thing, a parent will come to you and tell you that, because he had a funeral and they spent 5,000 TDs, and he will tell you every other thing that he did, but
Apart from plan for the school fees.
that those are not emergencies. That
No,
like
they're not.
It means you plan for those other things, but
not for this. So it's about priority.
Exactly.
And then it's also about sustainability, because yesterday we spoke to a financial analyst, and he was saying that his number one advice to parents is pick a sustainable plan and a sustainable school. But sometimes we want to give our children the best, so we reach higher than we can afford, but that's also every parent's, exactly, to send your child to a school that is deemed as, one of the best, regardless of how much it costs. How much did that factor into your choice of school for your children?
Well, for us, we decided to take our children to schools that are closer to the house, so we don't have to worry about transportation and the long drive, having to organize how they will come back home from school. So our first priority is a good school, but very close to the house, very close to our workplaces, so that if he or she closes from school, it's easier to reach them. Even if you can't pick her up, somebody can at least help in another way. And we also choose schools that have the parents in mind. Luckily for us, the school my first child goes to, they don't have a plan like you said, but then at least they involve us, the parents. We have sometimes emergency PTAs just to discuss the financial situations in the school, how the authorities are struggling to probably cope with the maintenance of the school and all that. So I think that sometimes it's not all about the school that has the name, parents. I think sometimes we just have to look at ourselves, what we can afford, what we can't, and then we draw the margins and know where to place our kids. I think that's
Adam, so based on what Ifwa has said, if you pick a school that you can afford, which may not necessarily give you the kind of education that you want for your child, what are the other things that you can do to buttress or to push your child in the direction that you want, which will not cost as much?
Before I answer your question, I need to say that there are also parents who are genuinely going through issues, who we also support. So let's not lose sight of that fact. Like everything that I keep on saying is it's from the side of the school owners. Yes, there are parents who are genuinely going through issues. There are parents who come to the school. Yesterday I had a situation like that. Came to the school, we calculated everything, and then she was like, she cannot afford. And I'm like, okay, where do you live? She told me, and that was the child would have to use a school bus, another cost. And I'm like, but this school is close to you. Why can't you try this school? No, I don't like that school. You don't like that school. You just want my school. The child will use transportation. That's one, the child will not use transportation. Most times people think that we only think of what we will get. We only think of increasing our numbers. But we also advise parents. It's something that no businessman would do. Because it's saying that the other
you're saying take your business out there to somewhere else,
sometimes
because
we do that. Looking at the need, if you bring, let's say, let me use a child with a special need, and you send the child to any school, like any school that doesn't have a professional who can teach that child, I can advise you, no, why don't you bring that child to my school, so that I'm fronting for my school, but at the end of the day I'm also looking at the progress of your child. But in situations where if I let your child go to another school, it would also help your child. I'll tell you, there are situations where we do that. They are difficult things to say because it means I'm pushing business out. But at the end of the day, I'll take stress off the child and off the parent. If the child has to sit in a bus, let's say a 3-year-old child sits in a bus for 30 minutes before getting to school, that would not help the child.
But Adam, there are different types of stress for a parent. So there's the stress of the fact that you can't afford the fees of the school. But there's also the stress of the fact that you don't like the school that you can afford. And sometimes, as a parent, that stress is deep because then there's this sense of failure. I am failing my child.
There are good schools that are affordable. My school is good and it's affordable. Around Kaswa, there are schools that are as good as mine, but charge 3 or 4 times what I charge.
So you're saying shop around?
Yes, you'd have to as a parent. There are I've had this year I've had admissions from schools that are like 3 or 4 times expensive than mine. Parents have moved from those schools to my schools because they've realized that, okay, so I'm getting the same quality and I need to save money for. So those are parents who come and then they calculate everything and they are ready to pay because they were paying much more
somewhere
at
else.
Those places. So you need to look at what you can afford, because as school owners, we're also going out there, we look at what we can afford. If I'm going to buy a bus, if I can't afford a bus, if I can't afford an air conditioning bus, I won't go for an air conditioning bus and say, please, I need a bus, so please get me. No, I won't do that. So the parents can't also come to my end and do that. I also look at what I can afford, what I can work with. So
okay, fair enough.
Yes.
So now will you answer my question for me? The question that I actually asked you, now will you answer it for me, please?
About the money.
Not about the really, not about the money, about extra tuition, extra classes when you the school that you can afford may not necessarily give your child exactly what they need.
Anytime I have the chance to talk to parents about extra classes, I'm not too convinced. So I don't convince parents to go for extra classes. That is the first thing. It doesn't mean I don't tell parents to do extra classes. It only means that what I tell parents is from 8 a.m. I run an 8 to 3 p.m. schedule. 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. If the school is good enough, that time is enough. That whole time from 8 to 3 is enough for the child to get everything that he or she needs.
Okay, but the caveat to my question was that the school was not good enough, but this is what we can afford.
Yes, but if the school was not good enough and there's okay, let me use a parent's situation who came to my school.
Okay.
The school that were 4 children from a school that was not good enough. So they came to my school. They couldn't afford. They talked to me. We discussed with my sister and the husband. We look for a scholarship for the kids. It always has to do with parents coming forward most times. If you come forward, yes, this is the situation. I can't afford this, I know. But I know that if my child goes through your system for 2 years, 3 years, the child will come out better. Because we also look at the child coming out better. If a child comes out of my school and is able to succeed, I also get a name. So we also look at that. There are children who are very good, but in bad schools. Okay, well, there are no bad schools, but in schools that don't
really
look
schools.
at their welfare.
They are bad schools. I'm sorry, they are bad schools.
I don't really look at their welfare. There are schools where even when the kids are supposed to be in class, they are out there playing and all that. So if a parent genuinely cares about that child and brings the child to my school and tells us that this is the genuine thing that I face, yes, we will definitely meet you at a point. But you also can't come up and say that I have nothing at all. That one is a no.
So you're not really for extra classes, and I get your argument, because I also feel from 8 a.m. but from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. kids in school, and even sometimes homework. Yeah. Let's talk about homework, because sometimes I feel like the homework that comes. It's too much.
That is what the parents want.
No, I disagree. I don't think we want it.
No. I have to organize training workshops for parents, like at PTA, mention it. We
don't want all those plenty homework. I mean, sometimes they can ask a child of about 7 years. My daughter, when she was 7, she'll be asked to draw a mansion. a serious homework. Yeah. What has a mansion got to do with what she's learning for? I mean, class 2.
That is why I said I want you in my school.
It's so unnecessary. And seriously.
Okay, so your argument is the homework, the content is unnecessary, not the volume.
No, I mean, initially we're coming from the number of hours they do in school and then the extra classes. Personally, I also think the extra classes is not so necessary. Because then we were closing at 1:30, I remember. Yeah. And then we're having 30 minutes or so extra classes. But now they close at 3. And then they have you want to do another extra classes. And you also want to do another summer school. When do these kids rest? Personally, my daughter has never been to the summer school. I feel it's not necessary. Whatever they learn during the academic period, I think it's enough. Then the little we also have to add on work. So, personally, I'm against it.
So both of you are not big homework people. No. You're also not.
End, yes, okay, there are days. At my end, there are days we give homework. We communicate to the parents, because when we started, we had issues with. And I'm a ban for homework and this we had issues. My child brought only 1 homework. Yeah, this child from another school brought 3 homeworks. But over time, the parents have gone to they've understood that Like, because we are producing very good results. We are working. The children are changing. You know, our focus is getting the children to come out, to be able to talk. A child who is able to write and communicate very well has like succeeded in life already, because that child can be anything. You know, when you come to my end, any child can see me and communicate with me. It doesn't mean they don't respect me, but if they need something, they can talk to me. Unlike other places where the child is academically okay, like can read and write, can do everything, but ask the child, oh, okay, so what do you think about this? And he or she is blank.
Timid.
You know,
I'll never ask my daughter that question in the midst of people. Never. I'm even afraid. I'm afraid of what will come.
Homework. We have a policy, and over time, we try to educate parents on that. When you come to like our creche, a parent will come, my child doesn't write 1, doesn't write 2, and I'm like, okay, so you want your child to write 1, you want your child to write 2. Why don't you send your child to places where they are forcing the child to write 1, to write 2? Because before the child would write 0, 1, 2, 3, 0 is made up of symbols, 1 is made up of symbols. We teach the children how to write symbols the entire preschool. And because every number is made up of
made up of symbols, yeah.
So if the child is good at those symbols, why can't the child write any other number?
So you think that parents are not being educated on how their children should be educated. So we have these preconceived ideas of what our children should do. So we cannot appreciate that times are changing. I think it's also because of the way that perhaps our generation we were educated, which didn't really work very well for some of us.
The times table.
Exactly. And you know what is funny about the times table is they can rattle the whole times table, but pick a random
2 times 30.
and then they have to start from 2 1 2 2 2 4.
2 times 30.
They have to start from.
But I really think that the face of education is changing now. I mean, with all these logical reasoning things they are inculcating, the abacus. I really don't know what goes into the abacus anyway, but I know that it has to do with their thinking process.
And then you know how they do it quickly on their fingers, and then they get the answers.
Those things take time.
Things are changing.
You know, those things take time, and those things are expensive. They are not cheap.
Extremely, the abacus bill is very expensive.
They're not cheap. You know,
I go like, what do they? And it's different from the normal.
No, it's different from yes. These are extra.
Yeah, I don't have that at my outfit yet.
So, okay.
If I bring that thing, that's like 3 or 4 times my school fees.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Yes, we my kids have done it, but that's the thing though. You know, it's always the value of what you're paying for versus the affordability.
You can afford, right? So.
No, but I think you made a good point. I think parents should be engaged more. It's not enough to me for just one PT in a term. From her school, my daughter's school, it's just one PTA meeting.
Yeah, but that's all you can.
No, but I think there can be emergency ones occasionally, especially if you have to discuss things that are very important. Because, I mean, what's the point? That's why we are paying for their tuition.
But also, apart from the PTAs, I think if you form a good relationship with your parents, your parents, your teacher, your child's teacher, that's what I was trying to say, then you can have, this ongoing rapport. If you have a good relationship with, maybe if your child is in primary, the primary head teacher, and you're paying attention to their work, I find that most teachers are very open.
It's not like that in most schools, trust me. It's not like that in most schools. Well, let me you don't know what school owners go through to organize a PTA.
Maybe that's
you don't know what we go through.
It's
what
tough.
I go through to organize a PTA. Okay, let me tell you my process. So 2 weeks before time. Okay, so at the beginning of the term, I give a letter specifying the holidays, the things that I'm going to do, the PTA that I'm going to have. Like, I specify everything that I'm going to. The letter goes to the parents. Then I meet with the executive. We decide on a date. Then 2 weeks to the date, I send another letter that I'm organizing PT on this day. And then I send messages to parents. And then I go and prepare the venue, do everything on that day. And then on that day, before the time, I have to call parents again. And then that is when the excuses come. Oh, I have a meeting somewhere. Oh, I didn't get the letter. Oh, I'm on my way. Can I send my child? And I won't allow another child to represent another child in my school. When you send a child who is below 18 years, that child is going back to the house. So that is what I go through to organize just a PTA meeting that would last 2 hours, and I don't waste time. I start a PTA at 9:30 a.m. 9:30, whether there are 2 parents or 3 parents.
We know where you learned that behavior from.
Well, maybe I can suggest something. I mean, I'm sure you can learn from other schools. The school that my child is, they send the SMS alerts. That's what they use most of the time to communicate to parents. And I think it's very effective, because sometimes you're just there, you're just scrolling through your phone and you can see an alert that came in some time back, just reminding you of the I think it would even be cheaper than to call. I think so.
Okay, I think maybe it's because of the level of parents you have in your school. Okay. I'm dealing with parents that even if I send a letter, I'd have to call to explain.
Okay,
you get it? So coming.
It's a totally different demographic. Yeah.
Guys are doing a good job.
If you send a letter, you'd have to virtually explain the contents of the letter.
So one of our friends has texted in and she says that she's also against homework because she ends up doing the homework for her children. Sometimes they are tired.
And it's even too difficult.
Sometimes they're and how many times when you sit down, erase, do it again, erase, I am guilty of it. Sometimes I'm like, let me just do it for you, which is actually very bad. So we are not advocating that parents do homework for children, but I think we're asking the schools that they should be a bit more sensitive in terms of the volume. So this says, good morning, madam. It's good to give homework, but sometimes a child of 4 years is given about 7 different homeworks. How possible is that?
That again. Yes, it's true.
That's extreme. That's extreme.
Yes, it is.
That's extreme.
Especially over the weekends.
Over the weekends. But you see, the thing is, I think we also don't understand how important the balance of school and play is. We are coming from a place where we want to give our children the best and we want to push them. But it's also important for us to allow them to be children and just not have the constant burden of homework, because I find that the more we do that, the less they enjoy learning.
That's true.
But also and maybe with the high-end schools, because I don't really know how, for example, the government schools deal with this issue of holistic and nurturing and education for the kids, so that it's not really just the academics, but it's learning through play and stuff. I don't know. Do you guys do a lot of that?
Well, the motto of my school is head, heart, hand. We train both the head, the heart, and the hand. So the focus is not just on the cognitive. It's not just on what the child should know, but what the child can also do. And I always make reference to, like, when we started, we had issues with parents who would come and say that my child doesn't know this, my child can't read this, my child can't write this. Yet that person doesn't look at the fact that the child can dance, the child can create something with a hand.
We don't place value on those skills, on soft skills. We do not. You've hit the heart of the matter. We do not.
Everyone is concentrating on my child cannot do this, my child cannot do this, my child cannot do this, forgetting about the many other things that the child can do.
Because we're measuring their success by whether they can read, whether they can write, whether they are.
I have parents coming to me, even when the children are doing well, the parents don't know. The parents comes to me. For preschool, we don't do we don't do quantitative assessments. We only do. We don't use their marks to promote them. Okay. We use age and other factors. From primary 1, their report is made up of both the digits and then the qualitative aspect. So your parents comes. My child didn't do well last term. Then I picked the laptop. I looked through the results, and the child had A, and he's like, no. He did. My child didn't do well. He was seventh in class. So because he looked at the position, that because my child wasn't first, yet when you look at the grades, the child did well. Exactly. So the child is doing his or her best, but the parent doesn't understand what the child is. And
we have to accept, parents, please, let us accept that not all our children are geniuses.
Thank you for saying
not all,
that.
please. Let's be realistic about your child. There's a scripture in the Bible that I really love. It's about Samson. And when the angel came to Manoah, I think my Nyamisum is, but I'm going to try and break it down. When, and described to him the kind of child that that God was going to give him. I think that it is our number one thing is to pray. And I'm not trying to be spiritual, but you need to understand the kind of child that you have.
Yeah.
so that you're not placing unnecessary demands on them. You know, there's this quote that says that if you judge a fish by its ability to fly, to fly, you'll be disappointed.
But
because you're...
Let me turn your statements around.
Okay, turn it around.
Every child, at my end, every year we have a theme. And our theme for this year is every child is a star. When it comes to my place, every child from crèche to, we have up to class 6 now, will be able to tell you the theme for the year. And I'm turning your statements around, like with regards that every child is not a genius. Every child is a genius.
But Adam,
every
do you
child
realize that when we were in school, those who are actually chopping the first, second, and third position are the ones who are not really having the money now.
Yes, that is why it is.
It was those who were actually creative, and we found that they didn't really know much. They are the ones who are actually making it. So I think we should all accept our children.
Every child is a genius, no matter what the child is or is not able to do. The focus of parents or schools is to make the child see more of what he or she can do. Because there will definitely be something that the child can do
and cannot do. Yes,
True.
I agree. I agree.
That's what we do. That is what every good parent will do.
But it's also our society. There are some career paths that we don't push our children towards, you know, and there are some things that I remember when my daughter came home and she had this list of extracurriculars. So there was basket weaving, there was cooking, and then there was programming software. And my mind went straight to programming software. She's looking at me, she's like, "Mommy, I want to do bead making." I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" But then, I had to take a step back because you're looking at, for example, this guy who is designing for Versace now. He's a Ghanaian. I can't remember his name. And I'm thinking, if at some point somebody had said, "My guy, go and do something else," I suppose he wouldn't be where he is today. Exactly. So even though it may seem difficult, because in our culture we're not really into the creatives pushing our children in that direction.
It's really changing now.
Yes, things that
slow.
I know it's slow.
I see it very fast because I am seeing accountants sewing now. I am a nurse, but I do beads.
Yes, but it's
changing.
It's when they have reached a certain point and they realize that they can. It's not the parents who are pushing for that to happen. So you are going to school, you finish school, and then I have friends in medical school who don't want to be. They are like, when I finish medical school, I will now go and do what I want to do. Wow.
So it's almost like I'm satisfying my parents, and then I'm going to do what I want to do.
Because people are changing it. It's not the parents who.
Okay. It's almost like you have to be an adult, and then you decide what you want to do. Yes. Well, Seth from Awashi said that you people, you don't understand the economic challenges that are being faced by Ghanaians. You, Edem, for example, he wants to know how much school fees you are charging. And you, for example, he wants to know how much you are paying, because the two of you do not understand.
You see, whoever asked the question, thank
Seth.
you, but Seth.
Good morning, Seth from Awashi.
Let me tell you mine.
No, let me just address that. You can tell him the school fees. Yeah. We appreciate you, but you see something, like she said, priority. Whether you like it or not, you would have to educate your children. I mean, it's the best gift you can give to them anyway. So it's not like we're not coming. Maybe I should even say this. Currently, my husband is not working.
Yes,
my husband is not working. I'm not sitting here talking as if I have
everything is okay,
and I'm just a nurse. So it's like you have to plan it, whether you like it or not. If you decide to choose this quality of education for your child, whichever, whether it's a government school or private, you just have to plan it. You're paying this amount of money. Plan towards it. You can't do away with. You can't change it. You can't change the school fees.
You can't
afford it.
That's all.
Go to a place you can
afford. So talking about, and Seth, I'm very grateful for your question, because I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Mensah now on the phone lines, who is a financial analyst. So he's going to help us navigate these economic waters that you are saying we don't understand. Good morning, Mr. Mensah. How are you?
Good morning, anymore, and I'm fine. I'm down with cold.
Okay. Sorry. So we'll send you some ginger and ahwentia and lemon and honey.
Why not? Why not?
Anyway, so we're having this conversation about going back to school, and we really just want you to give us a few tips on how to prepare financially for the things that our children need. Like, some tips that perhaps our minds haven't been drawn to.
Okay, good morning and good morning to your listeners. I think basically, if you're going to plan, it shouldn't be now because it's too late. Planning, funding for your kids ought to have been done last year, where you set aside a few pennies here and there. You may have done estimates of how much it's going to cost you per child per term. You may have extended it to cover per child per year. Now, it depends on how many kids you have. If indeed you have more than one, then you multiply it, each class. Now, this expenditure calculation, I'm referring to the school fees, if any, the uniforms, the school bags, the books, if any, and then the stipend, the regular 5 cedi here, 10 cedi here for the kids. Now, having done that, it will give you a set of amount that this is what you need when school reopens. You can, and you will, and you have to ensure that when the school reopens, at least you have some amount there. The problem with us in the past is that we've always looked at, when school reopens, I'll go to my employers and ask for salary advance. They probably would give me. Or I'll go to the bank and ask for salary advance. They probably will give me and pay it over a period of time. If you didn't do that last year and you're going to borrow now, fair enough. But immediately you get the money, then it is that you have to start saving towards next term or next year again, because it's very, very important. Now, having done that, you yourself, you need to look at where are you going to get that money from in terms of the regular income. So if your income level is not up to the scratch, then you should be thinking about multiple incomes. But people really don't look at those things. Now, after you've done the calculation, after you've looked at the income and nothing's happening, then you do what I call cost reduction exercise. Cost reduction exercise means that you are going to reduce the cost without affecting the child's quality of education. So if there are certain things that you could negotiate, like back-to-school program that you guys have, you could go in and get some discount on the books that you are buying for the kids, or buying a shoe which has one size over so that the kid could grow in it, or buying, socks that you can share among the kids, because these days they do socks, plus 1-2 size over. So maybe if you have the kids wear 2-year interval, because now you've looked at the cost, you've looked at the revenue, your revenue is not up to the cost, so you are not doing cost cut exercise, which is different from doing a cost cutting where the kids say, hey, I don't have, don't come and worry me. You know the problem I'm going through. Now, when you start throwing these financial challenges to the kids, if it affects them, you rather would discuss with them ahead of time than when the need arises and it's come to you, then you are shouting at them. I think with these few tidbits, the kids will be happy, you will be happy, and the whole family will be happy, my sister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mensah, for those tips. We really appreciate. So that was Mr. Mensah. He's a financial analyst, and this is what he's saying. Plan ahead, have a budget, have an idea of how much it's going to cost, and plan ahead. Also, start saving now for next term. So 50 cedis here, 100 cedis here, little drops of water make a mighty ocean. By the time you realize you have a little bit of money at least towards the bills. He also talks about a cost reduction exercise where you reduce the costs without affecting quality. So you're trying to spend less without changing anything. So for example, buy shoes that are a size bigger so that they can grow into width. And then sometimes quality over quantity. So it may seem like an expensive school bag, but they may be able to use it the whole year as opposed to buying 3 or 4 school bags like some of us do, because we don't understand what happens to the school bags. We're going to go and take some messages. When we come back, we'll be talking about life from a child's perspective, what it's like to go back to school after vacation. So I remember when we were reopening, my daughter said, it's back to school now, I can't watch TV anymore. And it was such a big headache for her. I mean, I'm like, life is hard. But yes, also the children's psyche. So preparing our children to switch routine and get back into school. We're going to take these messages and we will be right back.
Kwesi, put the chicken in the pan slowly. Everyone told me cooking was for girls. My friends laughed, but my mom encouraged me. I watched her chop, slice, scoop, and stir.
Kwesi, use only the best ingredients. Have passion for details. Hold the Frytol bottle from the middle. Now pour.
Making delicious meals was so effortless for her. I always wanted to be a cook like her.
Chef Kwesi, order for 2 braised chicken with a side of fries.
Coming up. Every time I pick up a bottle of Frytol, I remember my mother and all that she taught me. Whenever she comes to eat at my restaurant, she smiles and says,
I'm proud of you.
As for the friends who laughed at me, they eat here all the time.
Frytol, making life memorable.
As a busy mother, I never seem to have enough hands. But when I'm cooking, I have an extra helping hand. New Onga seasoning powder. Onga adds more taste and aroma to my stews and soups. Onga. And it's available in 4 delicious flavors: stew, shrimp, chicken, and classic. And because Onga is the strongest stew whole stock cubes, I only add what I need. It's so convenient.
It tastes great, Mama.
Onga, Mama's helping hand.
To everybody who believes there's no dream you can't achieve, you can have it when you want, and then sing the song. I love my life this way. Indomie, love it your way. Yes, go on and love it your way. Indomie, love it your way. Yes, I love my life this way. You are the master of your fate. With your heart and your mind full of grace, there's no mountain you can't climb when you sing this song. I love my life this way. Indomie, love it your way. Yes, go on and love it your way. Indomie, love it your way. Yes, we all love Indomie.
Indomie instant noodles. Taste great.
This is Joy 99.7 FM and you're tuned into Home Affairs. It's 10 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Enima Animado. Yes, I'm sitting in for Edem Naite and we're having a parents forum, kind of. We're talking about all things going back to school. And talking of going back to school, you must hit trade fair today, at least at some point during the day. So we're doing the back to school fair. We'll start at 8 a.m. and it'll run till 8 p.m. And you can find everything that you need for school in one venue. So convenience all the way. And for those of you who would like to meet some of our presenters, Nathaniel Otto will be there, Nashoko will be there. Pass by, take some pictures with us, and let's have some conversations about school and help you figure out what you're doing with your kids and the things that they need. We're talking about the things that they need. Indomie instant noodles is definitely one of them. Indomie instant noodles is a complete wholesome and delicious meal. It's full of essential nutrients and is rich in calcium, proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins, so you can have it anytime and anywhere. Also, you can add your personal touch to your favorite Indomie meal by adding your choice of ingredients like vegetables, eggs, fish, chicken, meat, and prepare Indomie the way that you love. So go love it your way. For tasty Indomie recipes and other details, check out the Indomie Ghana page on Facebook and Instagram. Indomie, tastes great. And talking about things that taste great, there's Onga. Onga adds more taste and aroma to soups and stews and is available in 5 delicious flavors: stew, classic, chicken, shrimp, and the 3 mix. 1 sachet of Onga is equal to 2 stock cubes, so you only have to add what you need. That makes Onga so convenient to use. Try Onga seasoning powder and shrimp tablets today and discover the magic of Mama's helping hand. And of course, there's also the new 50-gram sachet serving. Try it today. Onga, Mama's helping hand. And whilst you're Indomieing and ongaing, you can also be Fritoling. Frito vegetable cooking oil is produced by Wilma Africa Limited, and it's made from the finest palm fruits around the world, including plantations here in Ghana. Due to its plant heritage, Frito is cholesterol-free oil and further fortified with vitamin A, which is really good for you. Your favorite Frito is the only cooking oil in Ghana endorsed by the Ghana Medical Association. When it comes to cooking oil, you can never go wrong with Frito. Frito, make life memorable. Thank you for all your messages. Now, Amma from Jorulu says, good morning. GES should by now introduce this method of teaching into the education system. Creative dramatics. It's not drama or play for the public watching. It is a method inculcated into teaching. Sounds interesting. Have you guys heard of creative dramatics?
This is my first.
No.
Yes,
Many theories
of learning. Yes, we'll find out what that is. DK from Spintech says, I think giving positions in class is outmoded because a child being third in class may feel inferior to those in the first and second positions. Not to talk of a class of about 20 students where the person in the 17th position may have all A's and just one B. Children and people in general have different strengths, so they should be encouraged either ways and not made to feel less than any other student. I think we all agree with that.
Outmoded. We agree, but it's not outmoded.
It should. Are you saying that it should be outmoded, no, but it's not? Okay.
It's not.
Okay.
It's still relevant. Positioning to us, school owners, it's still relevant.
Why is it relevant?
That is what we used to give prizes to. If we are looking for the first in a particular subject, we look at the one who had the highest mark. But it's the parent who has to understand that if a child is third, it doesn't mean the child wasn't good. You look at the marks.
Okay. So as much as we don't want to put them in positions, we also don't want to take away the reward system of being able to say that you worked hard. And okay, I see what you mean. This one says, good morning. I'm a teacher, and in my school, parents keep complaining about homework. Sometimes I even complain about the number of homework that they're given, but the parents called for it once again. We've talked about parents and homework. Good morning. My auntie used to say vacation is meant for the mind to rest, but nowadays that is when school begins. Can we do the vacation stuff on vacations to make the children relax? That's from that's from Caro that's from Caro. Now Seth from Achimota says that, good morning. I disagree with your guest regarding the homework. It gives me the chance to get insight into what is happening in the classroom and also an opportunity to assess whether the class teacher is good or not. How does homework... Hey Seth, you are powerful. How does homework allow you to assess whether the teacher is good or not? Anyway, my kids are in the same school, and the first now was jumped from class 1 to class 3 because we realized the class 2 teacher wasn't doing well. The second one was jumped from KG to class 1 because the KG teacher wasn't good. All this is because we help them at home. So if a class teacher is underperforming, we can quickly assess that through the homework. They are to progress, not to retrogress. Thank you, Seth.
That's obviously a parent who is planning.
But yes, Seth, it's good that you are very involved in your kids' assessment and all of that. My question and my question and my concern. Here's assessment. My concern is, how are you assessing that these teachers are not good, and therefore skipping your children, which means that every time you skip them, there's work. Exactly. There's work behind in the class. Anyway, Felix from Ohio says, hi, I'm really enjoying the show. I always say if I knew I would travel out of Ghana, I would have learned a trade or gone into technical education. Here in the USA, even barbers are more useful in making money than those of us who came here with a university degree. A seamstress sews kaba and slit here for $120. Rasta weaving is about $200. Yes, that's true. Haircut is from $30 to $50. People who cook Ghanaian food here in Columbus are really making it, while we graduates from Ghana are suffering in the warehouses. Felix Chalet, you have our condolences. Our brochure is hard, we know. That is why we have come back. But then again, to be fair, Ghana is just as hard. If you're just joining in, this is Home Affairs here on Joy 99.7 FM. And we've been talking about going back to school, really planning. We've been looking at, from the perspective of a school owner, about school fees, about working together with the school, especially when you're having financial difficulties. And from Adam's point of view, if you come forward and discuss, most of the school owners or the headmistress, so those in charge, may be able to come up with some sort of payment plan for you that you can work towards. And we've also spoken to Mr. Charles Mensah, who talks to us about saving and planning ahead. So it's very, very important, especially with how unstable our jobs are these days. When you do have a job, do try to save as much as you can for the future, because you really never know, so it's really about having this culture of saving. And then also, we talked about sustainability. Send your child to a school you can afford, and then let's see how we can work around that to give them the other things that they need. But killing yourself trying to pay school fees that you really cannot afford is perhaps a stress that is not needed on top of all the other things. And there are some good schools out there which don't cost as much, so shop around. It's difficult and it's emotionally exhausting, but shop around, it will pay off in the end. So we're going into the final bit of our conversation, and I really just want us to focus on the children. We have about 10 minutes. So how for you do you help your children ease into the back to school from holidays?
Okay, for like you were saying about your daughter who was a bit stressed about going back to school.
A bit stressed. It was a major life event.
Equally stressed. And she kept going like, I don't want to go to school. And I was like, I'm happy you're going back. Now preparing them, I talked to her ahead of time. I tried to always hint it. You're going back to school very soon, so you'd have to be sleeping early, waking up early, and all that. Just trying to get her mind into the fact that she's going back, whether she likes it or not. And then I plan her stuff with her. Sometimes I ask her, okay, last term, did this water bottle help you? Does this snack help you? Did this help you? Was the school food okay? I mean, I try to find out what I can build on, or what I can maintain, or what I can change. So I think basically just asking her questions, because she's a bit older now. I mean, she can answer for herself, assessing things that I think I need to change myself, and then getting her mind prepared for school, because she can't do anything about that.
She's definitely going back. Are you weaning off the TV schedule? What's your entertainment schedule like during school?
Yes, I am. Currently, because she's going back to school, she actually stays off the TV earlier than before. So that's how we're doing it. But it's not getting easy because she's so used to the TV now because of the long vacation. But gradually she's weaning off.
She's weaning off. And what time was she waking up during holidays?
Oh, anytime she felt like waking up.
And what time was she going to bed?
She goes during the holiday. She was going to sleep like 9. But when school reopens, she goes to sleep at 7. Later, 7:30, she's in bed.
How is she? Is she sleeping?
Oh, she sleeps because she gets tired. She plays a lot. So the moment she gets into bed, she does sleep. Okay. I'm lucky, maybe.
So I think so, because I know some children that during the transition, you put off the light at 7 o'clock. They are not feeling sleep.
She sleeps. I'm lucky.
But I think after a few days, when they go back to school and there's all the running around and stuff, they are able to go back into that routine. We're going to open the phone lines. It's 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. And tell us how you're helping your kids get ready for school, the things that you find work for you, but also tell us how you've been able to put yourself together to be able to do the whole school fees and all of those bills. So we're just join in the conversation. We have about 8 minutes. So if you're going to call in now, it's a good time. It's 0302-216-541. Adam, are you a firm believer from your perspective in routine when it comes to the school term for the children?
Yes.
Why?
Because that's how it's supposed to be.
Why is it supposed to be like that? What sort of answer is that? And then
well, the whole concept of education. I remember in school, my teacher used to say that the best definition of education is every experience that a human being goes through from the time that he was born to the time that he dies. So that's a routine.
Okay.
For everything that you go through.
Okay.
And
I meant routine in terms of time, of schedules. Okay, so I pick you up at 3. From 3 to 4, you do this. From 4 to this is this. From 5 to this is this. And then 7 o'clock bedtime every day. Sticking to that kind of scheduling.
Yes, that's needed.
Okay.
Yes, that's needed. Without it, the child until a certain point doesn't decide how he or she does those things. It is you who must decide. That is why in school, the school authorities decide on that. The child doesn't decide that I do this subject at this time or I do that subject at this time. He or she may not like it, but you have to go through it.
Okay, so we're going
to add to the discipline.
Okay, sorry, Adam. We're going to the phone lines quickly, and we have Mama Alice on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear. Thank you so much for bringing this parents and school forum on JoyFM. It's a very good topic you are handling this morning, and I'm so happy.
Thank you very much.
I commend you very much. Actually, like the proprietor of the school said, most of the times schools, the proprietors and owners and what have you, and the headmistresses and administrators, they should try to engage as parents. For me, I have a policy. I start planning from the beginning of the term, and as the term ends, before, like my other colleagues said I'll try my best, no matter what. If I don't have, during the holidays, at least I'll pay part of my fees. If I don't have, I go to the school and I talk to them and tell them that at least the first 2 weeks, I will pay, if not all, but part of it so that all my kids will be in school. But we have a situation, some of the schools, the children will go to school and they sack them. Right now, get the accident rate. These kids come out and they are roaming, cars knock them down. We have all sort of, some falling into pitches, people's toilets. And they should put themselves in our shoes as parents. And I urge my colleague parents, especially as mothers, we should have that passion. No matter what your schedule, have time. Every time, at times I bump into my kid's school and my daughter asks, Mommy, what are you doing here? But I know what I'm doing. You have to go find out how he's doing. At times, even when you call, the child will be sick. The school won't tell you. But when you call and you want to talk to the teacher, then the teacher will open up and say, oh, today your girl is not feeling this. Today is this. And when she comes home, when you pick her up and said, oh, they gave you this. Mommy, because of this, I didn't do this. So take care of me. I'm not feeling fine. You see, so if that communication is between us parents and the children and the school authorities, it helps us because upbringing of children and education is a co-partnership role between parents and teachers. Because I'm a teacher and I've experienced it. And people, like they said, children who never could do anything in class, when you have that relationship with their parents, today I have been able to teach some of those children and they've come out and they are better people than those who used to be first in schools. So please, let's adopt all strategies to help parents. And parents, let's also help the teachers and school authorities to make it for our children. Thank you. Good morning. Continue such program.
Thank you very much, Mama Alice. Let's talk to Emmanuel now. Good morning, Emmanuel. Okay, so we've lost Emmanuel. Kwame from Lakeside has sent a picture of his child's reports. And he says, look at the teacher teaching my son. So his son was 4th in a subject. And the remarks, the teacher had written back up. But he had spelled the back up B-U-C-K and then up. And then there's another one where he says, okay, so his child was 25th, and the teacher has written try to learn, but he spelled learn with lean. And he's saying that, look at my teacher teaching my son. Kwame, I would say a bay why, but this one there. Let's talk to Fosti now. Good morning, Fosti.
Good morning. I want to speak to Adam off air. So if
Okay, please go ahead. He's listening.
Okay. Adam, where is your school?
Yes.
Adam, she's asking where is your school?
We are at Fetek Akraba, Sky Community School.
Okay.
Yes.
I would want to speak to you after the program. So.
Okay. If you call, or if you leave the number with leave your number with my producer, and then we'll call you back immediately after.
Yes.
Okay, Fosti, thank you very much. Adam, please, if you get any admissions, please, our commission, because don't you think so, Ifwa? Should we not collect commission towards our school fees too? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's unfortunate,
I'll
but...
come to you with the scholarship list. I haven't come to you yet.
Oh, Adam, don't do that. This is Joy 99.7 FM. It's 7:28, so we're wrapping up right about now. I'd like to take your last comments, last advice, tips for parents, and then we're off.
School is fun. Home is fun. When the kids are in school and it's time for vacation, trust me, they're excited. That is if home is fun. It's the same way when they are home and it's time for school. They should be excited if school is fun. So let's just make every part of it fun. Because whether they are going home, they would be happy. Whether they are coming to school, they would be happy. Yeah. And let's not put too much pressure on the children. They're also going through the amount of stress.
Yes, indeed. Ifa?
Yes, I think as mothers, we should also support our kids spiritually. I believe in that. They are upkeep. We should just tell God to keep them, because it's not easy. I mean, all the accidents and all the stress they go through, the Holy Spirit should just help them. I'm coming from the spiritual perspective.
Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Final messages. Tony from Nungwa says, please, headmasters and headmistresses should have pity on us parents by not including books that the children would not use during the term. And also, schools define division of labor schools defile division of labor and tend to printing press where they print their own exercise books but not textbooks, which is more important, and charge double the price on the market, forcing it down the throats of parents who are already burdened. And so yes, like every other thing, there are different sides of the scale. There are some schools that are really trying to support parents, and of course there are some schools that are really trying to make a profit. Thank you so much for choosing us this morning. A very big thank you to Food 101 for our breakfast. We appreciate it. And a very good morning to all of you who chose us this morning. We appreciate you even more. Join us at the trade fair from 8 a.m. We'll be doing our back to school fair. You can find everything that you need at one place, and all of your favorite presenters will be there to talk to you and talk you through and perhaps help you pick shoes and pick socks and pick out your pencil cases and all of that. So we'll be at the trade fair. Hope to see you. It's been wonderful having you here with us this morning, and stay tuned to Joy 99.7 FM. We have so much more coming up for you.